The screeching sound of tires echoed through the quiet suburban street, cutting through the early morning haze like a knife. In a split second, a small child ran into the path of a speeding car. Time seemed to freeze as hearts stopped in collective fear. The world held its breath. And then, in the chaos, a figure appeared, his black leather jacket flapping in the wind, his motorcycle skidding to a sudden stop. Without a second thought, the biker leaped from his bike and dove toward the child, his life hanging in the balance. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that heroism can come from the most unexpected places. The child, no older than 7, lay on the asphalt, blood trickling from a deep gash on his forehead, his tiny body trembling from shock. Parents screamed in terror, frozen in disbelief, unsure if their child would survive. The biker, adrenaline coursing through his veins, scooped the boy into his arms. His own heart pounded violently, but fear was no match for instinct. Every second mattered. Every breath counted. Onlookers watched in stunned silence as the biker ran, careful not to jostle the fragile child, toward the nearest hospital. Cars honked and swerved, yet somehow, the world seemed to part just for him. Passers-by whispered to each other, some wiping tears, others shaking their heads in awe. How could one man risk everything for a stranger? The biker had lived a life that few could understand. His tattoos told stories of battles fought, mistakes made, and lessons learned the hard way. Life had not been kind to him, lost friends, a broken family, and a past littered with regrets. Yet, in this moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the small life trembling in his arms, clinging desperately to a second chance. The journey to the hospital felt endless, each second stretching like a lifetime. The boy's small body grew weaker with every heartbeat, and the biker whispered soft words of encouragement, hoping they would reach through the pain. His own hands were shaking, yet he gritted his teeth and focused on each step. There was no room for fear now. There was only purpose, only the burning need to save this child. Finally, the hospital doors came into view. Nurses rushed out as if drawn by an invisible signal, and the biker didn't stop. He handed the boy to the medical team, his arms shaking from exhaustion, relief, and adrenaline. Doctors and nurses moved quickly, their coordinated chaos a blur. He watched as they worked tirelessly to stabilize the child, his heart hammering in his chest. For a brief moment, he felt utterly powerless, unable to control the outcome despite having risked everything. As the boy was whisked into the emergency room, the biker sank onto a nearby bench, drenched in sweat and trembling. Memories of his own childhood flashed before him, the times he had needed someone, anyone, to step in and protect him. Tears welled in his eyes. He had not been that lucky, and yet now, here he was, someone else's chance at life resting because of him. Hours passed like days. The hospital waiting room buzzed with anxious relatives and friends, but the biker remained silent, lost in thought. He did not belong here, not really. He was just a man with a motorcycle and a heart that refused to ignore suffering. When the doctor finally emerged, the room seemed to shrink. All eyes turned toward him, hearts in mouths. "The boy is going to be okay," the doctor said gently, placing a reassuring hand on the biker's shoulder. "You got here just in time. He's stable now, and with care, he'll make a full recovery." The biker exhaled deeply, the weight of fear lifting slightly. Relief washed over him in an overwhelming wave, mingling with the exhaustion and the echoes of adrenaline. For the first time in years, he felt a quiet pride that wasn't tied to material success or recognition, but to something far more profound, the knowledge that he had made a real difference in someone's life. Days passed, and the boy's condition improved steadily. The biker visited quietly, often sitting in the corner of the hospital room, not seeking gratitude, only wanting to ensure the boy was safe. Slowly, a bond began to form between them, not with words, but with the shared understanding of courage, resilience, and the fragile beauty of life. The boy's parents, overwhelmed with emotion, finally approached him one evening. Their hands trembled as they offered thanks that words could scarcely contain. The biker merely nodded, a small smile playing at his lips. He had not acted for recognition, he had acted because he could not bear to stand by and watch an innocent life slip away. Yet the gratitude in their eyes struck him more deeply than any medal or honor ever could. In the following weeks, the story of the brave biker spread through the neighborhood. Strangers stopped to shake his hand, neighbors smiled with newfound respect, and children waved at him as he rode past. But for him, the most important thing was quiet and private, the knowledge that one small act of courage had rippled through the life of a family forever, and that a little boy would live to laugh, to run, and to dream. Life has a way of testing our humanity. It asks, silently and insistently, whether we will rise when it matters most, or whether we will shrink back into fear. That morning, the biker had faced the impossible. He had risked everything, his life, his safety, his future, for a stranger. And in doing so, he reminded all who witnessed it that true heroism is not about fame or fortune. It is about love, empathy, and the courage to act when the moment calls for it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. Let others know that courage and kindness still exist in this world. And before you leave a special comment telling us how this story inspired you. It means more than you know. Sometimes, all it takes is one person, willing to act, to change the course of a life. One leap of faith, one selfless act, one heart that refuses to turn away. The biker didn't seek recognition, but in his bravery, he gave the greatest gift possible, a chance to live, to hope, and to be loved. And for that little boy, and for everyone who witnessed the miracle, that single act of courage would never be forgotten.